Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for your patience. Wanted to make sure everyone was in. Welcome to Visions of Freedom at Howard University. Visions of Freedom, our inaugural film festival here out of the Department of English and first year writing program at Howard University. And happy Valentine's Day to many of you as well. It is with great joy and deep reverence and immense gratitude that I welcome you to the official Nikki Giovanni Read-a-Thon, a powerful tribute to one of the most prolific voices in American literature and beyond, the legendary Nikki Giovanni. Today, we gather not just to read poetry, but to breathe life into the words of a literary giant. Nikki Giovanni's work has transcended generations, inspiring movements, challenging injustices, and uplifting the voices of the marginalized. Through her bold activism, unapologetic truth telling, and boundless creativity, she has indeed shaped the cultural landscape of poetry, education, and social change. Nikki Giovanni once said, quote, mistakes are a fact of life. It is the response of the error that counts, end of quote. And indeed, her poetry teaches us to confront our realities, to acknowledge our struggles, and to respond with resilience, love, and action. So, as we come together today, let this read-a-thon be more than a celebration. Let it be a call to remember, to reflect, and to rise. As each speaker takes the stage, and I'll turn it over to our MC shortly as we look at our program carefully. We want to be able to engage with the emotions that are woven into every verse and to embrace the power of storytelling as a force of transformation. We are also honored to have distinguished guest scholars and community leaders who share in this celebration. Their presence reminds us that literature is not just an art form, but a movement, one that brings people together, ignites change, and carries legacies forward. So today we honor Nikki Giovanni, not just as a poet, but as a visionary. As we read her words, we continue the work she started, we stand in her truth, we amplify her messages, and we ensure that her legacy remains unshakable, undeniable, and everlasting. Welcome to the Nikki Giovanni Read-a-Thon. May her words move us, inspire us, and remind us of the boundless power of Black storytelling. Thank you. And now we will have a special appearance now from our profound, powerful, prolific president of Howard University, Dr. Vinson III.
New and video.
Good morning. This is Carole Boyce Davies, Chair of the Department of English. I've been asked by President Vinson to read the following proclamation. President Vinson is traveling to California and is unable to be with us today. Howard University Proclamation, Office of the President. Whereas Nikki Giovanni, an esteemed poet, educator, and social justice advocate, has dedicated her life to illuminating the beauty and strength of the African American experience through her writings and activism, and had amassed a body of writing which articulated these histories during the Black Arts movement and into the contemporary. Whereas Nikki Giovanni became a major voice recognized in her conversation with James Baldwin in the articulation of the Black woman's experience in the United States and the larger African diaspora. Whereas her extraordinary contributions to literature and education have earned her national and international recognition, inspiring generations of readers and students to embrace their unique voices and heritage. And whereas her passing serves as a reminder of her enduring legacy, reflecting her deep commitment to cultural empowerment, creative expression, and the pursuit of justice. And whereas on February 14th, 2025, during the English department's Vision of Freedom, a Black Film Festival, we celebrate Nikki Giovanni's transformative impact on literature and society, including the premiere of Gone to Mars, a Nikki Giovanni project, followed by a special read-a-thon honoring her works. Now, therefore, I, the undersigned, do hereby proclaim February 14, 2025 as Nikki Giovanni Day at Howard University and call upon the entire university community to honor her remarkable contributions to literature, education, and social progress. Ben Vinson, third PhD, President, Howard University.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate our dynamic president. Thank you so much for declaring this officially as Nikki Giovanni Day. We are so honored and privileged, and thank you so much to our incredible department chair, Dr. Boyce Davies, for being able to share the proclamation declaring Howard University's February 14th officially Nikki Giovanni Day. Can we please get a virtual round of applause? And we should see the letter. Does everybody see the letter as well?
Yes.
Okay. And that is now officially published in your book as well. So if you have a copy of the electronic book, if someone can please share a copy of the link to the electronic book, you will see it. This is indeed a historic day for Nikki Giovanni. Next, we will have up our own Mayor Muriel Bowser, the Honorable Muriel Bowser, the Mayor of Washington, D.C. And I will share with you now, in her honor as well. And I believe everyone can see that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read from our Mayor of Washington, D.C. now. And she is so proud. She wants me to tell all of you that she's so proud of Howard University, the Department of English, and the first year writing program for being ahead of the curve and to acknowledge this activist and literary giant as well. February 14th, 2025 reads, as mayor of Washington, D.C., I am pleased to extend greetings to esteemed guests and attendees of the Nikki Giovanni Read-a-Thon, hosted by Howard University's Department of English and First Year Writing Programs, Visions of Freedom, a Black Film Festival. The Nikki Giovanni Read-a-Thon presents a unique opportunity to celebrate activism, literature, the relationship to pushing progress and social justice reform, and so much more. Inspired by the renowned poet and author Nikki Giovanni, today's event seeks to cultivate togetherness through the exploration of common themes found in the late Black literary icon's legendary work. Poetry and storytelling enthusiasts from across all walks of life will have the chance to become immersed in Nikki Giovanni's works, all of which install the importance of remaining resilient in the face of adversity and holding true to your identity no matter what. This readathon is dedicated to amplifying Black voices in literature and film, and I am beyond grateful for this wonderful program that keeps our residents engaged, informed, and empowered. Although considerable progress has been made, we still have much work left to do. And thanks to programs like the Nikki Giovanni Read-a-Thon, we can continue the dialogue and inspire the next generations of writers, filmmakers, and activists. To the Howard University Department of English, organizers, volunteers, Nikki's wife, Dr. Virginia Fowler, guest participants, and to each person responsible for making this event possible, I wish you a successful readathon as you honor Nikki Giovanni and lived experiences from across the African diaspora. Once again, I join the more than 700,000 residents of Washington, D.C. in welcoming guests and participants to this remarkable one-of-a-kind event. The Honorable Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C. And now we will hear from the Honorable Peace Ambassador and Mayor of Glenarden, Maryland, Dr. Cashenna Cross. Please help us welcome Mayor Cross from Glenarden, Maryland now.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for that beautiful welcome, Dr. Asaki. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you all. Listen, this is a beautiful day, and while the sun may have given us a ginger surprise when we walked out this morning, it was 29 degrees. It's pretty warm on this call today with the love and the adoration of Miss Nikki Giovanni and the change agent that she was, not only in her lifetime, but the persistency that shows how fiercely she spoke boldly and never shrunk in the face of adversity. She is likened unto myself as we fuel the movements and we ignite the courage that reminds us most profoundly that change begins with how we tell our stories. So, in this regard, I've taken the pleasure of writing a proclamation of exemplary service to humanity, honoring Miss Nikki Giovanni. And it states, whereas Nikki Giovanni, a literary icon, fearless, truth teller, beacon of justice, has spent her life shaping hearts and minds with words that uplift, challenge, and inspire. And whereas her poetry has been a sanctuary for the unheard, a rallying cry for the oppressed, and a love letter to the Black culture, history, and resilience, empowering millions across generations. And whereas over 20 published works, countless accolades, include 7 NAACP Image Awards and a Langston Hughes Medal and 27 honorary degrees, she impacts not only the measure in awards, but in countless lives she has touched and the voices she has emboldened. And whereas beyond the written word, she has been a mentor, a teacher, a guiding light, using her presence to carve space for truth. I like that. Courage and boundless creativity in a world that all too often seeks to silence them. Whereas on February the 14th, 2025, Howard University's Vision of Freedom, a Black film festival, will pay tribute to her legacy. And I'm grateful to be able to come tonight for the premiere of Gone to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni project, and the special readathon that we are participating in today is sheer genius. And now, therefore, I, Dr. Cashenna A. Crouch, AC, the 18th Mayor of the City of Glenarden, with all who witness this proclamation, do hereby recognize and celebrate your remarkable success with gratitude and adoration. We honor Nikki Giovanni for extraordinary contributions to literature, education, and humanity. May we in hashtag moving the mission forward ever exhibit her passion, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to justice in our own lives. I write this proclamation as we honor not only her selfless service to communities, but the impact to humanity. It is the resiliency that communities shall become areas and nations that serve, from local councils to the international platform. She has painted a resiliency versus and reminded us not no matter where we stand, our voices must and do matter. It is time that we write a love letter and remain valid. Our fight for justice is worthy. I thank you so much to this illustrious committee, to the beautiful Dr. Saki, Miss Nikki Giovanni, for being the voice of the people, the heartbeat of the movement, and the guiding light for those who continue the journey of serving humanity. I'm Mayor Cashenna A. Cross, the United Nations Peace Ambassador under the Word of Life Ministries Incorporated, CICA, and the most excellent order of international professionals. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Honorable Mayor. We love you and we thank you so much. That means so much to us. Thank you. And now we will hear from, I see Dr. Michelle Stevenson has entered. Dr. Michelle Stevenson, that is the creator of the Gone to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni project. Would you like to say a word or two, Dr. Stevenson, before we continue? Because we will be seeing your documentary later, so we're very honored and grateful for that as well.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much. I'm deeply grateful for today. Not much more to add. It's beautiful to see everyone here. And I'm very much looking forward to the gathering this evening in person in a much needed moment. Thank you so much for organizing this and for honoring Nikki and her legacy.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Stevenson, and to both of you, husband and wife, for giving birth to such a powerful documentary that's won a plethora of awards and is on HBO. And it's just, yeah, and it just recently came out. And so we'll see that and the documentary that you just recently did with our dear Nikki Giovanni, and I know Taraji P. Henson and so many other were involved in that. So thank you so much and welcome to the Mecca. We look forward to that this evening. Next, we have up our our dynamic dean, Dr. Rubin Patterson of the College of Arts and Sciences. Please give a round of applause as Dr. Rubin Patterson, our Dean of COAS, sends us greetings.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. And to our visitors, welcome to Howard University. I'm so pleased to be with colleagues, friends, and visitors today to participate in the celebration of the hugely impactful body of work and the overall life of the great Nikki Giovanni. Nikki Giovanni was one of a few intellectuals whom I just had to meet. So when I received an invite several years ago to visit Virginia Tech, I thought, okay, finally, I'm going to meet Nikki Giovanni, since the person who invited me noted they could have arranged such a meeting. Unfortunately, that meeting did not occur. Disappointed, yes, but at least I would remain a member of a community of millions.
Do I have time to go get something, please?
At least I would remain a member of a community of millions around the world who admire and who have been influenced by her. I want to thank our English departmental faculty, both for organizing this event today and for ensuring that essentially all of our students who traffic in the department are exposed to the contributions of Nikki Giovanni. Now, of course, Nikki Giovanni's work is incorporated as well in African American studies, and sociology, philosophy, world languages and cultures, and other departments in the College of Arts and Sciences, and I'm certain in other schools and colleges around Howard University. In general, that is a good thing, but in light of the aggression against vulnerable people witnessed at this moment in history, everyone needs to pull Nikki Giovanni's works off the shelf and revisit for greater insight and strength. Dr. Akassi, thanks to you and your colleagues again for organizing this event today and for advocating for Nikki Giovanni Day at Howard University. It would not have happened without you. Thank you and welcome.
Please give a round of applause to our great Dean. Thank you so much, Dean. We greatly appreciate all the support that you have given us throughout this academic year, and especially on this special day to our late, great Nikki Giovanni. Thank you so very much, Dr. We appreciate you, Dean. Next, we will have up our very own Department Chair of English, Dr. Carole Boyce Davies. Without her support, as we continue to push the needle forward towards continued excellence, none of this would be possible as well. Please, Dr. Carole Boyce Davies, our Department Chair of English now. Okay, now she may have, I know she was en route, so we may hear, but actually we will hear from Dr. Carole Boyce Davies during the reading portion now. And she was the one that read on behalf of our dynamic president as well. So we're going to move right along to our great director of creative writing, Dr. Tony Medina. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Tony Medina.
Thank you, Dr. Monique L. Akassi. This is a beautiful occasion. I don't want to take up too much time because I'm reading later, and I know there's a lot of people here, and I know AJ's losing her mind. But I just wanted to share a little anecdote. It's interesting, and I don't know. I guess the spirits, the ancestors, made it happen. But around this time, Dr. Ella Trailer would have her Hearts Day celebration each year, and that was to raise money for the Sterling Allen Brown Endowed Chair in the Department of English. And one of the occasions, she was celebrating the works of Mari Evans, Lucille Clifton, and Nikki Giovanni, because it was one of the last Hearts Day celebrations. And as I walked into the ballroom of Blackburn on the second floor, Nikki Giovanni came up to me and she was like, "Hey Tony, I would like to know if you do to me the honor of being, helping me with this book that I'm doing, being one of my editors." And I said, "Of course." And that summer I worked on it diligently, sent her work in, and she put this book together called Hip Hop Speaks for Children that I was an editor for. She's always been a very generous person, beautiful soul. I went to her funeral recently and it was heavy, but it was like a family reunion of sorts. And I admire the way that she reached so many people from so many different levels and different disciplines and areas. And she was very generous, beautiful. The last time I saw her in person was last year around this time when we celebrated. We were at Lincoln Center reading together, celebrating Kwame Alexander's book, This is the Honey. And we were backstage in the green room, and she was the one who got me drinking Starbucks coffee. But that's another story. I'll just read this little short tanka that I wrote for her. I have a couple of poems dedicated to her going to be in my next collection. But this one's called Tanka for Nikki G. Cry a good cry, 'cause every gone ain't goodbye. She just went to Mars. Light clinging to stars, energies, eternal shine. Thank you.
Ooh. Thank you so much, Dr. Medina. I said like many of us that we weren't going to cry, but wow, what a beautiful poem. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Without further ado, please give a round of applause to Dr. Tony Medina. What a powerful memory. Powerful. Now we're going to turn it over, and we're right on time. We're going to turn it over to my colleague, as Tony Medina said, before she lose her mind. We're going to turn it over to Professor AJ Burdell. No, she knows I love her. She held down the fort and got the Read-a-Thon together, and she is the MC for this. And I just thank you so much. We had so much fun with James Baldwin. Wow. Just in December. And now Nikki. Please, everyone give a round of applause to Professor AJ Burdell, the MC for the Read-a-Thon.
So good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm happy to have this program launched and delighted to hear from all the dignitaries who have preceded us. I welcome the members of the creative writing program and the English department at Howard University. And I am just so proud of us that we can focus on this kind of very brief but very deep immersion into some of the people who are responsible for enabling us to do what we do. And by enabling, I mean encouraging, leading the way, holding the torch, teaching us how it's done, making an impact as they pass through life. Nikki Giovanni did all that and more. And so I'm thrilled that our students have had a chance to read some of her poems and choose some of her poems and learn about how she wrote them, titled them, dedicated them to people. Dr. Medina's Tonka is in the fashion of Nikki Giovanni, who wrote many poems for many different people. I'm going to start this off by reading one of Nikki Giovanni's most well-known poems. It's called Ego Tripping. There May Be a Reason Why. And there's a reason that I'm starting with this poem, primarily because it's one of her most famous poems. Also, so that our students who are waiting to read can breathe out their anxiety while I launch this. But I'm also hoping to kind of set a pace because one of the things about poetry is that it is a long-term art. Poetry has been written thousands of years ago. It continues to be written. It continues to be important. It continues to inspire people. And so to have a poet whose work that we can read and just
You're muted, AJ.
what? How long have I been muted?
Couple of seconds.
Oh, good. That's not very long. So I don't know how that happened, but you can hear me now. So this poem, in literature, we might call it hyperbole, where you sort of exaggerate. But Nikki Giovanni is also teaching us about how much you have to reach into yourself in order to be an artist and in order to summon your own courage to do the work you're inspired to do. So again, this poem is called Ego Tripping. There May Be a Reason Why. I was born in the Congo. I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine, perfect light. I am bad. I sat on the throne drinking nectar with Allah. I got hot and sent an ice age to Europe to cool my thirst. My oldest daughter is Nefertiti. The tears from my birth pains created the Nile. I am a beautiful woman. I gazed on the forest and burned out the Sahara Desert. With a packet of goat's meat and a change of clothes, I crossed it in 2 hours. I am a gazelle so swift you can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son Hannibal an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever on. My son Noah built Newark, and I stood proudly at the helm as we sailed on a soft summer day. I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intone my loving name. All praises, I am the one who would save. I sow diamonds in my backyard. My bowels deliver uranium. The filings from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew my nose, giving oil to the Arab world. I am so hip, even my errors are correct. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned, and gold was laid across 3 continents. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal, I cannot be comprehended except by my permission. I can fly like a bird in the sky. So Nikki Giovanni, born June 7th, 1943, and gone to the next realm on December 9th, 2024. But she leaves a major legacy behind. Ego tripping's one of the most classic of those. And next, we're going to have one of our students, Margot Muriel, read a poem, Luxury. Margot?
Luxury by Nikki Giovanni. I suppose, living in a materialistic society, luxury to some will be having more than what you need. Living in an electronic age, seeing the whole world by pushing a button. The nth degree might perhaps be adequately represented by having someone there to push the buttons for you. I have thought, if only I could become rich and famous, I would live luxuriously in New York, knowing famous people, eating in expensive restaurants, calling long distance anytime I want. But you held me one evening, and now I know the ultimate luxury of your love. And my name is Margot Morial. I'm a freshman biology major from New Jersey.
Thank you, Margot. So, Nikki Giovanni wanted to have us all think about not only what's in ourselves, but also what's in our potential to engage with other people, which is what that poem Luxury starts to be about. Like, how do you see yourself? What do you have? What do you wish you have? What can you dream yourself into? Next, we're going to have one of Nikki Giovanni's really hefty poems. It's called Linkage, and it was dedicated to Phyllis Wheatley, or written for/about Phyllis Wheatley, which is the signing of poems to other people that I was just referencing when Dr. Medina read. We have actually 7 stanzas in this big poem. Phyllis Wheatley was credited as being one of the first African American poets. She was enslaved, she was a teenager, she changed a lot of people's ideas about African Americans. And so this is Nikki Giovanni's treatment of her. And we have 7 students: Haley Gibson, Snowden Jackson, Alexis Edgley, Amy Peters, Aliana Kanu, Michaela Celestine, and Olivia Akron. They have practiced and know their order. So we'll begin linkage now.
What would a little girl think, boarding a big, at least to her ship, setting sail on a big, to everybody ocean, perhaps seeing her first iceberg, or whale, or shark, watching the blue water kiss the blue sky and blow white clouds to the horizon, my mother, caused awe in me for blowing smoke rings. What would a little girl think, leaving Senegal, for which had no name, and when one was obtained, no place for her?
You see them now, though they were always there. The children of Hester Prynne walking the streets, needing a place to eat, sleep, be warm, loved, alone, together, complete. The block that little black girls stood upon is the same block they now walk, with little white boys and girls selling themselves to the adequate bidder.
Hagar was a little black girl, chosen by Sarah and Abraham, looked like a breeder, they said. Phyllis, a little black girl, chosen by Wheatley, looked intelligent. Make a cute pet for the children, old men, sweat curling round their collars, choose a body and act. On the wait through the tunnel to Jersey, looked like fun, they say. Family members and family friends inhale to intoxication the allure of the youths, destroying in conception that which has never been born.
Eyes, they say, are the mirror of the soul, a reflection of the spirit, an informer to reality. What do you see if you are a little black girl standing on a stage, waiting to be purchased? Is there kindness, concern, compassion in the faces examining you? Do your eyes show, or other eyes acknowledge, that you, dusky, naked of clothes and tongue, stripped of the protection of gods and countrymen, are human? Do you see those who purchase or those who sold? Do you see those who grab at you or those who refused to shield you? Are you grateful to be bought or sold? What would you think of a people who allowed, nay, encouraged, abetted, regaled in your chains? Hands that handle heavy objects develop calluses. Feet in shoes too tight develop corns. Minds that cannot comprehend, like lovers separated too long, develop an affinity for what is, and an indifference, if not hostility, to that which has been denied. Little white boys stalking Park Avenue, little white girls on the Minnesota Strip are also slaves to the uncaring of the nation.
It cannot be unusual that the gene remembers. It divides and redivides and subdivides again and again and again to make the eyes brown, the fingers long, the hair coarse, the nose broad, the pigment black, the mind intelligent. It cannot be unusual that one gene from all the billions upon billions remembered clitorectomies, infibulations, women beaten, children hungry, garbage heaping, open sewers, men laughing at it all. It cannot be unusual that the dark, dusky, murky world of druggery, drums, witch doctors, incantations, magic was willingly shed for the Enlightenment. At least man was considered rational. At least books dispense knowledge. At least God, though still angry and jealous, was reachable through prayer and action. If those are not redundant terms, we cannot be surprised that young Phyllis chose poetry, as others chose prostitution to express her dismay.
The critics, from a safe seat in the balcony, disdain her performance, reject her reality, ignore her truths. How could she? They ask. Thank God she was brought and bought in this land. How dare she? They decried. Cheer George Washington his victory. Why couldn't she? They want to know. Be more like, more like, more like. The record sticks. Phyllis was her own precedent, her own image, her only ancestor. She wasn't like Harriet Tubman because she is Tubman, with pen rather than body, leading herself and therefore her people from bondage. Not like Sojourner Truth. She was truth, using words on paper to make the case that slavery is people and wrong to do. We know nothing of the life. We who judge others of the conditions we create and expect others to live with or beyond broken spirits, broken hearts, misplaced love, fruitless endeavor. Women are considered complete when they marry. We have done, it is considered our duty when we safely deliver a person from the bondage of father to the bondage of duty and husband, from house slaves who read and write to housewives who have time for neither. We are happy when their own race is chosen, their own class reaffirmed, their own desires submerged into food, dishes, laundry, babies. No dreams this week, thank you. I haven't the time. Like overripe fruit in an orchard embraced by frost, the will to live turns rotten, feckless, feculent.
What is a woman to think when all she hears are words that exclude her? All she feels are emotions that deceive. What do the children think in their evening quest of those who from platform and pulpit deride their condition, yet purchase their service? What must life be to any young captive of its time? Do we send them back home? Oh, I was muted. Okay, I'll go again. What is a woman to think when all she hears are words that exclude her? All she feels are emotions that deceive. What do the children think in their evening quest? Those who from platform and pulpit derive their condition, yet purchase their service. What must life be to any young captive of its time? Do we send them back home to the remembered horrors? Do we allow them their elsewheres to parade their talents? Do we pretend that all is well that ends?
Thank you so much, Haley Gibson, Snowden Jackson, Alexis Edgley, Amy Peters, Aliana Kanu, Michaela Celestine, and Olivia Okran. reading linkage for Phyllis Wheatley. They are all creative writing students, and I guarantee that their perspectives and vocabularies are broadened from their study of that poem. The poem has a unique format as well. You heard a lot of pauses in their reading because Nikki Giovanni built in ellipses. She didn't use any regular punctuation. It was just ellipses and phrases. So you all did a great job reading that poem. Another creative writing student, Javon Scurry, is going to read Black Power. Unmute, Javon.
There we go. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay. Black Power for all the beautiful Black Panthers East. But the whole thing is a miracle, see? We were just standing there, talking, not touching or smoking pot, when this cop told Tyrone, "Move along, buddy. Take your whores out of here." And this tremendous growl from out of nowhere pounced on him. Nobody to this very day can explain how it happened. And none of the zoos or circuses within 50 miles have reported a panther missing. My name is Javon Scurry. I am a senior television film major, English minor from Augusta, Georgia.
Thank you, Javon. Giovanni went from the history presentation and a presentation about Phyllis Wheatley to a commentary on her time in the Black Power movement, which she has many poems about that era. So Nikki Giovanni wrote Across the Human Experience, joyfully from an African American perspective. Next, I wanted to call Dr. Boyce Davies if she's here and ready. We had you at the top to read. I don't know if you can hear me. So I am going to go on.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can
I
hear
can
me.
hear you.
Okay, is this a good moment for you to read your selection?
I can definitely do that. And before I do that, I just checked my email and there's an email from the provost, which I'd love to read. He just sent it.
Okay.
Nikki Giovanni's powerful voice has resonated for generations, inspiring us with her unwavering commitment to social justice, equality, and the transformative power of poetry. Her words, both spoken and written, have challenged, enlightened, and moved us. We are deeply honored to acknowledge her immense contribution to American literature and culture. The presence of her spirit here today is palpable, and we celebrate her remarkable legacy and the profound impact she continues to have on our world. Provost Anthony Wutoh sent this morning to me. 12:30 p.m. actually is the time that it's dated. He's in California as well with the president. So I'm pleased to read something that really struck me from Gemini, simply because the discussion of African art and the reparations and the restitution of those art to African countries is very much part of the current discussion. So this is an excerpt from Gemini. I went to the opening of an African exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum and noticed only about a dozen Black men in the crowd of at least 200 people. And I thought to myself, how odd, no Black men. Then I looked at the exhibit piece by piece and began to think I understood something. There was a beautiful door from the Congo. And looking at that door, I saw a man, a woman, several children in the yard, and this white man saying, "Your door is an excellent example of the Cashenna's people's art." And I must take it back to Amsterdam. And this beautiful African barefoot with perhaps an earring in his left ear replies, "But this is the door to my house, and it is not for sale." And the woman, sensing something, stopped grinding grain and began to gather the children around them, while the white man goes on with, "I must have the door. The museum needs it. And so I can make 50 dins on it." And the African rises to his full height on his long, light legs tribal markings dancing lightly on his face, eyes clear and hard, saying, quote, "My family needs this door. It is mine. My father left it to me, as his father did him. You may not have it. It is not for sale." And the cracker turns in rage to leave. Then, 2, perhaps 3 days later, the missionary comes up saying, "My son, your door is needed in great country far away from here. You will be blessed by your heavenly Father if you give your door to the merchant." And this magnificent African, stooping by his door, playing with one of his children, shakes his head and said, "I would be asking something that does not present the value of this." It was an insult, she wants to say, and I'm continuing uh, with her point about this. We are angry, and so are they, but it's only when we admit that we can get anywhere. I don't think a woman cares where she walks if you let her walk with you. And I don't think a man cares that a woman talks if she'll talk to him. And if we really understand we are both men and women, and it's our choice whether to or not stay, that way I think a lot will change. If now isn't a good time for truth, I don't see when we're going to get to it. Because I don't want my son to be a warrior or to go to some school where some insensitive teacher asks him why I'm not married, or where some cracker thinks he can run my son down anytime, any way he pleases. We need some happiness in our lives, some hope, some love. I didn't have a baby to see him become cannon fodder. Something must be decided. If it's a real war, then we must be brave and true. If it's a mental war, he must be black and proud. But if it's a wake the people of war, Martin Luther King did that. Malcolm X did. Stokely Carmichael did that. Wrap Brown did it too. And if people aren't awake, then perhaps the dreams are too good to be disturbed again. Perhaps because Black people don't want revolution at all. That too must be considered. I decided to be a writer because people kept asking what I would become. And I couldn't see anywhere I could go intellectually, and thought I'd take a chance on feeling. I didn't want to get married, buy a 5-room house in the suburbs, and have lunch at Caproni's as my big event of the month, becoming bored and alcoholic social worker with a couple of kids I didn't want by a man I barely spoke to, and wondering at 35 what I'd done with my life. The second greatest thing that happened to me was getting kicked out of Fisk University because I had to deal with my life. I could go back to school, join Delta Sigma Theta, marry a Mihari man, and go quietly insane. I could go on and live, and I think I wanted to be famous because my mother deserves to have the world notice her existence, and my family has worked too hard to be ignored. I don't think I would have cared much if it hadn't been for them, but they deserve more. Other people put a lot of time and energy into me, and they deserve something too. And love means nothing unless we are willing to be responsible for those who love us well as those whom we love. People don't just love you out of the blue, you let them. And people have loved me when I needed to be loved. So as an adult, I must give something of that love back to those who want it, or would all have been for nothing, or want it or would all have been for nothing. I think I'm no different from any other colored girl who has to grow up and make decisions and live by them. I think we are all capable of tremendous beauty once we decide we are beautiful, or of giving a lot of love once we understand love is possible, and of making the world over in the image we choose to. I really, I really like to think a Black, beautiful, loving world is possible. I really do, I think. Nikki Giovanni. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The theme of being capable of tremendous beauty, the theme that exists throughout Nikki Giovanni's work, as well as in her perspective on life or approach to life. She approached her work, she approached her public, she approached the many students that she educated with joy and expectation and a sense that we are all capable of tremendous beauty. So Ariana, you are on deck. Are you ready to read balances?
Yes, I am. Okay. Balances. In life, one is always
balancing, like we juggle our mothers against our fathers, or one teacher against another, only to balance our grade average. 3 grains salt to 1 ounce truth. Our sweet black essence, or the funky hunkies down the street. And lately, I've begun wondering if you're trying to tell me something. We used to talk all night and do things alone together. And I've begun, as a reaction to a feeling, to balance the pleasure of loneliness against the pain of loving you. I am Ariana Robinson, a sophomore political science major, English minor from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Ariana. So we talk about relationships all the time, and in this relationship poem, Giovanni is referring to it as an act of balancing, which you would think would be top of mind for everybody, but in a sense, it's kind of a recalibration of how we think about relationships. So next we have Amelie Crisp reading boxes. Amelie, are you ready?
Hi, yes, I'm ready. Okay. Boxes. I am in a box on a tight string, subject to pop without notice. Everybody says how strong I am. Only black women and white men are truly free, they say. It's not difficult to see how stupid they are. I would not reject my strength, though its source is not choice but responsibility. I would not reject my light, though my wrinkles are also illuminated. Something within demands actions or words if actions is not possible. I am tired of being boxed. Muhammad Ali must surely be pleased that Leon Spinks relieved him. Most of the time, I can't breathe. I smoke too much to cover my fears. Sometimes I pick my nose to avoid the breath I need. I do also do the same in justice to my poems. I write because I have to. My name is Amaile Crisp. I am a sophomore psychology major, biology minor from Calabasas, California.
Thank you, Amaile. Next, we will have creative writing professor Trisha Elam reading Age.
Okay, I hope you guys can hear me and excuse the noise in the background. Challenges finding the internet. Age. We tend to fear old age as some sort of disorder that can be cured with the proper brand of aspirin or perhaps a bit of Bengay for the shoulders. It does, of course, pay to advertise. One hates the idea of the first gray hair, a shortness of breath, devastating blows to the ego, indications we are doing what comes naturally. It's almost laughable that we detest aging when we first become aware we want it. Into my house! Little girls of 4 or 5 push with eyes shining brightly at Graham or mommy that lie that they are 7 or 8. Little girls at 10 worry that a friend has gotten her monthly and she has not. Little girls of 12 can be socially crushed by the lack of knobs on their chests. Little boys of 14 want to think they want a woman. That little penis that simply won't erect is shattering to their idea of manhood. If perhaps they get a little peach fuzz on their faces, they may survive adolescence, proving there may indeed be life after high school. The children begin to play older without knowing the price is weariness. Age teaches us that our virtues are neither virtuous nor our vices foul. Age doesn't matter really. What frightens is mortality. It dawns upon us that we can die at some point. It occurs we surely shall. It is not death we fear, but the loss of youth. Not the youth of our teens, where most of the thinking took place somewhere between the navel and the knee, but the youth of our 30s, where career decisions were going well and we were respected for our abilities, or the youth of our 40s, where our decisions proved, if not right, then not wrong either. And the house, after all, is half paid. It may simply be that work is so indelibly tied to age that the loss of work brings the depression of impending death. There are so many, too many, who have never worked, and therefore for whom death is a constant companion. As lack of marriage lowers divorce rates, lack of life prevents death. The unwillingness to try is worse than any failure. In youth, our ignorance gives us courage. With age, our courage gives us hope. With hope, we learn that man is more than the sum of what he does. We also are what we wish we did. And age teaches us that even that doesn't matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Elam. So there's Nikki Giovanni thinking all across the years and all across the decades, but also raising that really important point of how work is so tied to your sense of value. You all in college, you haven't really gotten there yet, but you will quite soon. So Kadisha Mitchell, my first memory of librarians. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Can you see and hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay. My first memory of librarians. This is my first memory. A big room with heavy wooden tables that sat on a creaky wood floor. A line of green shades, banker's light, down the center. Heavy oak chairs that were too low, or maybe I was simply too short, for me to sit in and read. So my first book was always big. In the foyer, up four steps, a semicircle desk presided. To the left side, the card catalog. On the right, newspapers draped over what looked like a quilt rack. Magazines faced out from the wall. The welcoming smile of my librarian. The anticipation in my heart. All those books, another world, just waiting at my fingertips. And my name is Kadisha Mitchell. I'm a senior honors environmental science major, computer science minor, and I'm from Jamaica.
Thank you, Kadisha Mitchell, and congratulations on being a senior. For those of you who are interested in becoming writers, what you will discover is that almost every writer has something to tell you about a library. So if you haven't made a momentous experience with a library yet, you want to get that checked off. Next, we'll have Kamzi Easy reading Mother's Habits. I see you. Yep.
Hi.
Hi. Speak up a little bit.
I have all my mother's habits. I awake in the middle of night to smoke a cigarette. I have a terrible fear of flying, and I don't like being alone in the dark. Sleep is a sport we all participate in. It's the scourge of youth and a necessity of old age, though it only hastens the day when dissolution is inevitable. I grow tired, like my mother, doing without even one small word that says I care. And like my mother, I shall fade into my dreams, no longer caring either. And my name is Kamsi Eze. I'm a sophomore psychology major, English minor from Dallas, Texas, by way of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Kamzi. Uh, we all inherit much from our mothers, and Nikki Giovanni made a list of them. Whether they're fictional or not, we don't know, but it might be interesting to have a list that we make of what we're taking from our parents. Quite illuminating. Zoe St. Clair. I can't see your name, but I will call it in case you are here. Zoe and I emailed earlier.
Hello, hi.
Hi, Zoe. Are you ready with Once a Lady Told Me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I can hear you.
Like my mother and her grandmother before, I paddle around the house in soft-soled shoes, chasing ghosts from corners with incense. They are such a disturbance, my ghosts. They break my bric-a-brac and make me forget to turn my heating stove. The children say, "You must come to live with us." All my life, I told them I've lived with you. Now I shall live with myself. The grandchildren say it's disgraceful. You in this dark house with the curtains, pulled, snuff dripping from your chin. Would they be happier if I smoked cigarettes? I was very exquisite once, very small and well corded. Some would say a beauty when my hair was placid, and I was bustled up. My children wanted my life, and now they want my death. But I shall pat around my house in the purple soft soled shoes. I'm very happy now. It's not so very neat, you know, but it's my life. My name is Zoe St. Clair. I am a junior political science major, history minor from Grenada.
Thank you, Zoe St. Clair. That was a lovely poem that included a lot of opposites. And a lot of times when we're writing about one thing, life, we think of its opposite, death, and we can make a comment about both of them as we develop our stanzas. Noah Green, reading poem No Name number 3. Hi, Noah.
Hi. The Black Revolution is passing you by, Negroes. Anne Frank didn't put cheese and bread away for you because she knew it would be different this time. The Nazi boots don't march this year, won't march next year, won't come to pick you up in a hunka-hunka VW bus. So don't wait for that, Negroes. They already got Malcolm. They already got Leroy. They already strapped a harness on Rap. They already pulled Stokely's teeth. They already hear if you can hear properly, Negroes. Didn't you hear them when 40,000 Indians die from exposure to honkies? Didn't you hear them when Viet children die from exposure to napalm? Can't you hear them when Arab women die from exposure to Israeli Jews? You hear them while you die from exposure to wine and poverty programs. If you hear properly, Negroes, tomorrow was too late to properly arm yourself. See, can you do an improper job now? See, can you do something, anything, but move now, Negro. If the Black Revolution passes you by, it's for damn sure. The white tea reaction to it won't. My name is Noah Green. I'm a freshman advertisement major from Chicago, Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah Green. That poem is very topical at the moment, written many years ago, but relevant again. So next we will have Dr. Jaquetta Iwo, who's going to read Beautiful Black Men.
I want to say, just got to say something about those beautiful, 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 out of sight Black men with their afros walking down the street is the same old danger, but a brand new pleasure. Sitting on stoops and bars, going to offices, running numbers, watching for their whores, preaching in churches, driving their hogs, walking their dogs, winking at me in their fire red, lime green, burnt orange, royal blue, tight, tight pants that hug what I like to hug. Jerry Butler, Wilson Pickett, the Precious Temptations, Mighty Mighty Slide don't have to do anything but walk on stage. And I scream and stamp and shout, see new breed men and breed alls, Daisiki shoots with shirts that match the lining, that complement the ties, that smile at the sandals where dirty toes peek at me. Lord have mercy. And that scream and stamp and shout for more beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Black men with out of sight afros.
Thank you, Dr. Jaquetta Iwo. That was the embodiment of that poem. Got inside that poem. In the beginning, I thought you were talking, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, she's talking the poem. It's very lovely. Thank you so much. So now we're going to keep rolling. We're going to look at how Nikki Giovanni wrote about every subject, relationships and politics, sometimes in the same stanza. Dr. Tony Medina is going to join in reading poetry now with the poem Allowables.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Monique, Trisha. All the students were fantastic. And that professor just killed it just now. I'm just feeling really good that we really need this right now as these capitalist oligarch Nazis take over the country. and put us through all this madness with their racism and stuff, and classism. So I just want to read this poem because this is one of those poems that make you just kind of like stop dead in your tracks and think. Allowables. I killed a spider, not a murderous brown recluse, nor even a black widow. And if the truth were told, this was only a small, sort of papery spider who should have run when I picked up the book, but she didn't. And she scared me, and I smashed her. I don't think I'm allowed to kill something because I am frightened.
Yes, what do we do with our fears? And what are we allowed to do with our fears? Certainly, we shouldn't go around smashing other people with our fears. Thank you, Dr. Medina. Athena, who's reading photography. Athena, are you ready? Calling Athena. I'm sorry, I can't see the list of who's here. So I'm not hearing from Athena, even though she did come and practice. Maya Blackston, are you ready with Detroit Conference of Unity and Art?
Hi, yes. Detroit Conference of Unity and Art for HRB by Nikki Giovanni. We went there to confer on the possibility of Blackness and the inevitability of revolution. We talked about Black leaders and Black love. We talked about women and Black men. No doubt many important resolutions were passed as we climbed Malcolm's ladder. But the most valid of them all was that rap chose me. And my name's Maya Blackston. I'm a freshman political science major, women, gender, and sexualities minor from Lorton, Virginia.
Terrific. Thank you, Maya Blackston. Nikki Giovanni named this poem after a conference that she went to. So, memorializing your experience is part of what Nikki Giovanni is modeling for us. Next, we will have Mariam Dembele, who's reading the Beep 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 poem.
Hi.
Hi, Mariam.
The Beep Beep poem by Nikki Giovanni. I should write a poem, but there's almost nothing that hasn't been said and said and said. Beautifully, ugly, blandly, excitingly. Stay in school, make love, not war, death to all tyrants. Where have all the flowers gone? And don't they understand at Kent State the troopers will shoot again? I could write a poem because I love walking in the rain and the solace of my naked body in a tub of warm water. Cleanliness may not be next to godliness, but it sure feels good. I wrote a poem for my father, but it was so constant, I burned it up. He hates change, and I'm baffled by sameness. I composed a ditty about Encore American and worldwide news, but the editorial board said no one would understand it, as if people have to be tricked into sensitivity, though, of course they do. I love to drive my car hours on end along backcountry roads. I love to stop for cider and apples and acorn squash, 3 for $1. I love my CB when the truckers talk and the hum of the diesel in my car. I love the aloneness of the road when I ascend descending curves. The power within my toe delights me, and I fling my spirit down the highway. I love the way I feel when I pass the moon and I holler to the stars. I'm coming through. Beep, beep. My name is Miriam Numbelli. I am a freshman TV and film major from the Bronx, New York.
Thank you so much, Mariam. Before I go to Dr. Akassi, who's going to read Nikki Giovanni's preface to a speech she gave, are there any students here who I have not called? Because I don't want you to have come and I have not noticed. So I am going to now remind you that Nikki Giovanni talked to us about mistakes being a fact of life. And it's a response, it's the response to what we are facing, even the mistakes we make. That's what counts. So I'm going to let Dr. Akassi invite her to read the preface, and then that will be a time for us to share and have a wrap. So I'll turn this back over to you, Dr. Akassi.
Thank you so much, Professor Verdale. I meditated over this, and at first I was going to read a preface that Giovanni collaborated with me on with a journal when I was at another university. However, I've decided to do Nikki Rosa because Giovanni was a good friend of mine. I brought her to Virginia Union University when we did our conference there. Um, I brought her down to Florida at Edward Waters College, and we had very deep conversations over good wine and good dinner. And I'll never forget those conversations. She became my son, who's a junior at Southern Methodist University. She became his pen pal, and he developed a love for poetry because of her. And he used to mail her his poems, and she would write back to him and give him feedback. And he was only like 8 years old back then. And he still has those letters, and he's still choked up. He couldn't join us today because of it. But she's from Lincoln Heights. And as you know, when Medina was talking about the Nazis, I'm from Cincinnati. I'm from Lincoln Heights. I was 10 minutes from there. And I was telling Nikki, I said, Nikki, why don't you buy your childhood house? And she said, Monique, I ain't messing with that. She said, I am not purchasing that house. I said, but Nikki, you should. She said, no, I'm not doing it. It's still in Lincoln Heights. But the Nazis recently, last week, came to Nikki Giovanni's childhood neighborhood, our neighborhood. And the Black neighborhood of Lincoln Heights and Woodlawn right next door, they don't play. They snatched that flag and they burnt it. And they made world news, and they said never again. And I know Giovanni's spirit was moving through them, and they took off running like cowards on feet. But nevertheless, because of that, uh, I bring you Nikki Rosa. And if Jenny is in here right now, I know Jenny is supposed to be. I love you. We love you, Jenny. And all of this is for you today as we wrap our arms around you. Nikki Rosa. Childhood remembrances are always a drag if you're Black. You always remember things like living in Woodlawn with no inside toilet. And if you become famous or something, they never talk about how happy you were to have your mother all to yourself, and how good the water felt when you got your bath from one of those big tubs that folk in Chicago barbecue in. And somehow, when you talk about home, it never gets across how much you understood their feelings as the whole family attended meetings about Hollydale. And even though you remember your biographers never understand your father's pain as he sells his stock, and another dream goes, and though you're poor, it isn't poverty that concerns you. And though they fought a lot, it isn't your father's drinking that makes any difference, but only that everybody is together and you and your sister have happy birthdays and very good Christmases. And I really hope no white person ever has cause to write about me, because they never understand Black love is Black wealth. And they'll probably talk about my hard childhood and never understand that all the while I was quite happy. I like to share really quickly one more little piece in honor of Giovanni before I turn it back over.
Nikki Giovanni. I'm a poet. I'm 77 years old. I hope to be 78, you know. I'm just a poet. I only have words. So the words I wanted to share were thug life. Tupac was a big fan of voting. I, too, am a thug. And this poem is entitled Vote. It's not a hug, nor mistletoe at Christmas. It's not a colored egg at Easter, nor a bunny hopping across the meadow. It's a vote saying you are a citizen, though it sometimes is chocolate or sometimes vanilla. It can be female or male. It is right or left. I can agree or disagree, but, and this is an important but, I am a citizen. I should be able to vote from prison. I should be able to vote from the battlefield. I should be able to vote when I get a driver's license. I should be able to vote when I purchase a gun. I must be able to vote if I'm in the hospital, if I'm in the old folks' home, if I'm needing a ride to the polling place. I am a citizen. I must be able to vote. Folks were lynched. Folks were shot. Folks' communities were gerrymandered. Folks who believed in the Constitution were lied to, burned out, bought and sold because they agreed all men and women were created equal. Folks vote to make us free. It's not cookies nor cake, but it is the icing that is so sweet. Good for the folks, good for us. My country, 'tis of thee.
Only 12% of women-owned firms actually surpass $100,000 in annual revenue. I'm going to show you how.
So thank you for showing that vote clip, in part because it shows us Nikki Giovanni's beautiful presence. She was so genuine and she was so earnest, and she always was trying to encourage people. But also because we got the chance to see her in motion. So many of the poems that we selected from and read are on the internet with Nikki Giovanni presenting. So do more investigating if you remain interested, as we hope you do. Okay, Dr. Akassi. Yes, vote like it's thug life. Yeah.
And she was very good friends with Tupac Shakur. Thug life literally tatted on her forearms. But yes. Can we please give a round of applause to Professor Verdell for just emceeing? Her voice is like velvet, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Professor Verdell. Thank you. Wow. And we're in good timing. So ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, students, faculty, the Mayor Cross and the Mayor Bowser and our president and provost and dean and department chair and our esteemed faculty and students and the global community at large, thank you so much. As we come to the close of this powerful Nikki Giovanni Read-a-Thon, which has been recorded, by the way, I want to take a moment to reflect on the legacy, wisdom, and inspiration we have shared today. Through every poem read, every reflection spoken, and every voice lifted in honor of Giovanni, we have celebrated more than just her words. We have celebrated her impact, her resilience, and her fearless commitment to truth. Her poetry has reminded us that our stories matter, that our voices hold power, and that art and activism are deeply intertwined in shaping the world we wish to see. Today, we did not just read her words, we lived them. We embraced the beauty, the strength, and radical love that she poured into every line. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to all of our readers, administrators, esteemed guests, faculty, students, and special guests from near and afar who made this event possible. Your participation, passion, and presence have truly made this a momentous occasion. To our distinguished guests, scholars, and university leaders, thank you for joining us and for ensuring that literature remains a guiding force for education, empowerment, and liberation. But the celebration is far from over. I invite each of you to join us at 2 o'clock p.m. today in the Crampton Auditorium here at Howard University and our nation's capital for our red carpet event, where we continue honoring Black excellence in storytelling and cinema. This will be a special opportunity to celebrate, connect, and experience the power of Visions of Freedom, a Black Film Festival. We have a long lineup of HU grown video creators. We will be showcasing their films, and you will get to meet these actors and directors and producers for Q&A afterwards in Crampton. And then we will have the highlight of the evening, Gone to Mars, a Nikki Giovanni documentary, and we have the esteemed directors and writers here today. They're with us here on this Read-a-Thon, and they just flew in as well, and coming from Harvard University and Massachusetts. So we welcome you. We welcome all of you, and thank you so much, visionaries. Let's keep the late, great Nikki Giovanni alive and well. Peace and love. And we'll play a little of Giovanni's favorite music as well now. And feel free to mingle. And feel free to drop comments in the chats. And we do have a, on the last page of the program, a Survey Monkey link as well. We love to hear your feedback. We love to hear it.
Dr. Akassi, can you just repeat the time of the film, the documentary this evening?
Yeah, it is at 6 o'clock. Let me pull up the itineraries. And if someone can drop the link again inside. So the documentary will begin at 6:10 p.m. going to Mars. And before that, we have several films and documentaries before then beginning at 2:30 p.m. We will also have heavy hors d'oeuvres and a small meet and greet reception afterwards with heavy hors d'oeuvres down in the lower level of the Crampton Auditorium after the event as well. So we welcome all of you. We welcome all of you. Thank you.
Nikki Giovanni, a fierce, her poetry and prose, published in more than 24 volumes, grappled with race, sex, gender, and politics. And her commitment to fighting injustice inspired generations of Americans from all walks of life.
You cannot be afraid.
If you could imagine your ideal way of working, what would it look like? Monday.com can make it your reality. With Monday.com, every business, no matter the industry or size, simply work better. Monday.com adapts to every team's needs and connects departments in one unified workspace.
Something for my godson Elijah and Luke.
Right.
Say the back of the bed, sweet as the tree. I think the dark of the flesh, and for the roots, I give my heart to my sister's own welfare. Keep locked in, if so nobody else can. And I know they like to beat you down a lot when you come around the block. Brothers clown a lot, so please don't cry, dry your eyes, never let up. Forgive, but don't forget, girl, keep your head up. And when he tells you you ain't nothing, don't believe. And if you can't learn to love you, you should leave. Cause sister, you don't need, and I ain't trying to gas you up, I just call them how I see. You know what makes me ask that? Brothers make pay and leave a young mother to be a cat. heal our faith, be real to our women. And if we don't have a race of babies that will hate the ladies, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies, but keep your head up. Child, hey yo, I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the kettle didn't seem so tough. And though we had it rough, we always had enough. Up on my curtain, you would broke the rules, run with the local crew, and had a smoke or two. I realized mama really paid the price. She nearly gave her life. Breaks me right. You know, last year, but when my life bring how about the mic? Make it to the French screen. Trying to make $1 out of everything. It's hard to be legit and still pay your rent. And then it seems I'm heading for the pen. I try to find my friends, but they're blowing in the wind. Last night, my buddy lost his whole family. It's gonna take the man in me to conquer this insanity. It seems the rain will never let up. I try to keep my head up and still keep from getting better. You know, it's funny when it rains and pours. They got money for water, but can't feed the poor. Said it ain't no hope for the youth, and the truth is it ain't no hope for the future. And then they wonder why we crazy. I blame my mother for turning my brother into a black baby. We ain't ready to survive because it's a setup, even though you're fed up. Child, think it right. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. And to all the ladies having babies on their own, I know it's kind of rough and you're feeling all alone. Daddy's long gone and he left you by your lonesome. Thank the Lord for my kids, even if somebody else want them. Cause I think we can make it and back them sure. And if you fall, stand tall and come back for more. Cause ain't nothing worse than when your son wants to know why his daddy don't love him no more. You can't complain you was selfless. Hell of a hand without a hand feeling helpless. Because too many things for you to deal with. Dying inside, but outside you look at things. While the tears is rolling down your cheek. Is daddy hoping things don't all down the street. Cause if it did, you couldn't take it. And don't blame me. I was given this world, I didn't take it. And now my son's getting older and older and old from having the world on his shoulders. While the rich kids are driving Benz and still trying to hold on to surviving friends. And it's crazy, it seems they'll never let up. Please, gotta keep your head up.
Fat removal and skin tightening, this is why you should choose.
Thank you all again for coming. We will see you shortly over at Crampton, and we hope that each and every one of you will be able to participate as our film festival begins. This is our last day for the festival, so we invite each and every one of you to join us over at Crampton. And looks like you may have a little time to grab a bite to eat as well, but yes, please join us. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna put her picture up. Just trying to. Or do you have a picture of her? Okay, there we go.